My pregnant sister begged to take my wedding venue, even though I'd waited a year for it. When I said no, my whole family turned on me and called me selfish. I stood my ground, but what she did next nearly ruined everything. You ever feel the world tilt in slow motion? Like something drops into your stomach before the words even fully register? Yeah, that was me, standing barefoot in the grass at my parents' backyard, holding a plate of grilled zucchini, when my sister Brianna announced she was pregnant. Everyone gasped, clapped, and cheered. Someone popped a bottle of Prosecco, and I just froze. Not because I wasn't happy for her. I mean, I was, I guess. It's just, I knew what was coming. Brianna's always had a way of stealing the spotlight, sometimes deliberately, sometimes like it was written into the script of her life. And the moment her hand slid across her belly, I saw it in her eyes. That same wide-eyed, fragile look she'd given our parents when she didn't want to go to summer camp, when she crashed the family car, when she flunked her first year of college. That look that said, "Make this better for me. Fix it. Bend the world so I don't have to." But even then, I didn't expect the bomb she dropped next. "Oh," she said, one hand dramatically flying to her mouth, like she just remembered something. "Speaking of big events, I wanted to ask you something, Abby." I smiled automatically. Bad habit. "Sure, what's up?" She stepped closer, already playing to the crowd. Our cousins were half watching from the porch. My mom was sipping wine. My grandmother sat in her favorite lawn chair with a crocheted blanket over her lap, even though it was 80 degrees out. "I know your wedding's coming up," Brianna said sweetly, "and I am so excited for you and Nolan." "Really?" I nodded, wary now. "Thanks." "Well," she looked down, pressing a hand to her stomach. "With the baby coming sooner than we planned and everything happening so fast, we haven't had time to plan anything. And your venue, it's just so beautiful. I was wondering if maybe you'd consider letting us use it instead." My mouth went dry. "You mean postpone our wedding?" I asked carefully, even though I already knew. "Not postpone," she said too quickly. "Just, push it back a bit. You've already had so long to enjoy the engagement and everything. And I wouldn't ask if it weren't important. It's just, with the baby, we don't have time. And your date works perfectly." My hands tightened around the paper plate. "We booked this place a year in advance, Bree," I said, forcing a polite tone. "We signed the contract 18 months ago. You know how hard it is to get a spring date." "I know," she said, nodding, looking sheepish. "But you could reschedule. Maybe do a fall wedding. October weddings are beautiful. I'd even help you plan it." As if she were doing me a favor. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. Because right then, my mom stepped in. "I think it's a lovely idea," she said, smiling too hard. "Come on, Abigail. You've already had your engagement party, your shower. Your bachelorette is next month. It's just one date. Brianna's having a baby." "I'm having a wedding," I said, my voice quieter than I wanted. "That's not nothing." Grandma piped up from her chair. "Your sister's in a delicate state. You'll understand when you're a mother." There it was, the dagger. My cheeks burned. I looked over at Nolan, who was standing with my dad near the grill. He was watching now, tense. His jaw was clenched, his grip white-knuckled around a can of Coke. I turned back to Brianna. "I'm sorry," I said, voice firmer this time. "I love you, and I'm happy for you. But I'm not giving up our venue. We've planned for this for over a year. Everything's locked in. You'll find something else, maybe even something better." There was a pause, and then, right on cue, Brianna's eyes filled with tears. "I just didn't think you'd be so cold," she said softly, stepping back. "It's not like I'm trying to ruin anything. I just thought, as sisters..." She didn't have to finish. The implication hung in the air like smoke. My mother looked at me with thinly veiled disappointment. "Honestly, Abby, I expected better." "Better?" I snapped. "For saying no to giving away my wedding?" "She's pregnant," Mom hissed. "She needs support." "And I need boundaries," I said, louder now. Nolan stepped in before I could explode. He came to my side, slid his arm around my back. "We're not changing the date," he said clearly. "Not for anyone. We love you all, but this wedding has already been pushed once during COVID, and we're not doing it again." "That's a bit dramatic," Grandma muttered. "What's dramatic is expecting us to throw out over a year of planning for someone who made her choices after we booked the venue," Nolan replied. Calm, but firm. The silence that followed was suffocating. My dad looked like he wanted to disappear. My uncle took a long sip from his beer and pretended not to exist. A few cousins slipped inside. Then my mom said something that I'll never forget. She's your only sister. How can you be this selfish? And that was it, the turning point. Something inside me cracked open. A slow, splintering awareness that had been growing for years finally shattered clean through. Because this wasn't just about the venue. It was about every birthday where Brianna's tantrums took center stage. Every holiday where I was told to be the bigger person. Every school play where she got the flowers even when I had the lead. Every whispered insult that was laughed off. Every time I was told I was too much, too rigid, too serious, too cold, while she got to be Brianna. My voice was trembling, but steady. I'm not selfish. I'm done being the one who always folds just to keep the peace. Brianna turned and ran inside, crying. My mother followed her. Grandma muttered something about today's women and refused to look at me. And me? I just stood there. Nolan's arm still around me, heart pounding in my chest. Eventually, people started dispersing. The party thinned. My dad gave me a long look, something between apology and discomfort, but said nothing. When it was just the two of us, Nolan kissed my forehead. I'm so proud of you, he said. They've treated you like that for years, and you still wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. I nodded slowly. I just didn't think they'd actually pick her side. Again, they always have, he said gently. This time, you just finally saw it. Later that night, I got the first of what would be many messages. From my mom. She hasn't stopped crying since you left. I hope you're happy. From my aunt. It wouldn't have killed you to be gracious. She's family. From Brianna. You've always been jealous. This just proves it. And the worst one, the one that felt like a knife. From Grandma. I hope one day you understand what love really means. Until then, you'll always be alone. I sat there on the couch, Nolan beside me, rereading them all. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened a new message thread to my wedding planner. Hi, just confirming everything is still set for May 17th. We're not changing anything. You'd think after blowing up a family barbecue and refusing to hand over my wedding, the worst would be behind me. But no, that was just the prelude. 3 days after the BBQ, I woke up to a string of missed calls. My phone lit up like a haunted Christmas tree. Mom, Grandma, and Brianna, over and over again. I didn't answer. I didn't even listen to the voicemails. I just knew whatever it wasn't for my benefit. Nolan was already up, making coffee in the kitchen. When I shuffled in, he looked up from his phone with that expression I'd come to recognize, worried but bracing. She posted something, he said. You should see this. He handed me his phone. It was a screenshot from Brianna's Instagram story, captioned in curly script. It's so heartbreaking when someone you love chooses a building over your baby. Some people just don't understand what family means. Shower disappointed, shower still hopeful. She didn't tag me. She didn't have to. The comments were already rolling in. Wait, your sister seriously won't let you use her venue? That's cold. Some people just love drama. You're literally pregnant and she can't move her date? Selfish AF. I stared at the screen, stomach knotting. My face burned in a mixture of fury and humiliation. These were people I didn't even know, and they were tearing me apart based on half a sentence of context. She's painting herself as the victim, I muttered. She always has, Nolan said, sliding a mug toward me. But this time, you don't owe her silence. He was right. I took a deep breath. Then I opened my messaging app and wrote the longest, rawest text I've ever sent in my life. To Brianna, I wasn't going to respond. I really wasn't. But if you're going to drag me in public, then you should be ready for honesty in private. You keep saying I'm selfish, that I've changed. But the truth is, I've just finally had enough. I've spent years bending to keep peace in this family. Do you remember when I had to share every birthday because you cried if the attention wasn't on you? Or how Mom made me give up the solo in choir because you didn't get one? What about when I was applying to colleges and Mom asked me to tone it down because it made you feel less accomplished? Or when you asked me to write your resume for you and got mad when I didn't drop everything? You've never once celebrated a milestone of mine without making it about you. Not my graduation, not my first job, not even my engagement. And now, when I finally have something that's just mine, you want to take that too. And when I say no, suddenly I'm the villain. I'm done playing that role. This wedding is happening, on our date, in our venue, and you will not change that, no matter how many guilt trips you post online. Grow up, Brianna. You're about to be someone's mother. I hit send with hands that were shaking, not from fear, but from release. That message felt like something uncoiling inside me, Like years of being the good sister, the quiet one, the peacekeeper, had finally cracked. And for a few hours there was silence. Then came the escalation. The next day, my wedding planner called, voice tight. "Abby, I just wanted to confirm something with you. Your sister called the office this morning asking about transferring the contract." My chest dropped. "She what?" "She claimed you were giving her the venue," the planner said, "and asked if we could expedite the paperwork. Luckily, because your name is on everything, we didn't make any changes. But I wanted you to be aware." I was livid, but not shocked. I texted Brianna again. "Nice try. It didn't work. Stay out of my wedding." No reply. Instead, she took her war online again. This time she got creative. Screenshots from our family group chat, cherry-picked of course. An old childhood photo of us with the caption, "Hard to believe how much can change." And then came the fake account. Nolan found it first, a burner profile commenting on our engagement photos. "Hope karma catches up to you. You ruined a family." Pretty pictures, but the bride's heart is ugly. It was so blatant it was laughable, except it wasn't funny anymore. The morning after that, we found a note duct taped to our front door. "You'll regret this." That's when Nolan changed all our locks, installed cameras, and called his lawyer cousin for advice. The line had been crossed. The next blow came from someone I used to trust, my mom. She showed up at our apartment unannounced, holding a box of old cookies and wearing that familiar fake smile. I didn't want to let her in, but Nolan said, "It's up to you." So I opened the door. "Hi, sweetheart," she said like we hadn't spoken through passive-aggressive text for 2 weeks. "I just wanted to talk. Woman to woman." I crossed my arms. "Then talk." She sighed, sitting on the edge of our couch like she was on a talk show. "I just think this whole thing has gotten out of hand. Your sister's hurting. She's pregnant. Emotions are high. And I'm not allowed to have any," I said. "I'm not allowed to be angry that she tried to steal my wedding?" "No one's stealing anything," she said quickly. "She was just asking." I laughed, bitter. Asking is what she did at the BBQ. Lying to my planner? Posting vague attacks? "That's not asking, Mom. That's manipulation." She flinched. "She's in a vulnerable place," she tried again. "So am I." Silence. Then I took a breath and said the thing I'd been holding in for years. "You've always taken her side. Every single time. You made me the problem when I asked for help. You told me to keep quiet when she screamed at me. You called me cold for having boundaries. You know why this wedding matters to me? Because it's the first thing in my life I planned without letting her, or you, take it from me." She blinked, then predictably, her eyes welled with tears. "I didn't realize you hated me so much." I shook my head. "I don't hate you. I just finally see you. And now you have a choice." She looked up. "I want you at my wedding," I said, voice soft. "But only if you can come as someone who respects me. That means no more defending Brianna's behavior. No more guilt trips. And if that's too much, then don't come." She looked like I'd slapped her, but I was done coddling. "Counseling," I added. "You, me, and maybe even Dad. We talk to someone, or you're not part of this next chapter." She stood, quiet, hurt, but I could see it in her eyes. Somewhere in there, a crack had formed. Then she left. That night, I got a call from someone I hadn't heard from in months. My brother, Tyler. He'd moved across the country a few years back, built a life of his own far away from the family circus. He always kept his distance. I used to think he was cold. Now I understood. "Hey," he said, "I heard what's been happening. I just want you to know, you're not crazy." The floodgates opened. "I don't know why I thought it would be different this time," I said, wiping tears from my eyes. "I do," he said, "because you're a better person than they deserve." He went on to tell me how he had been the scapegoat before I was old enough to remember. How Mom used to make him give up birthday gifts so Brianna wouldn't cry. How he left because he realized the pattern wasn't going to stop until he cut ties. "I wish I had stayed long enough to protect you," he said, "but I'm proud of you for protecting yourself." We talked for an hour, maybe longer. When I hung up, I felt a strange mix of sadness and strength, like I was grieving something I never had, but finding something new in its place. A week later, Brianna slashed our mailbox open. The security footage showed her in a hoodie, late at night, using garden shears to vandalize the slot. We filed a police report. That was the last straw. I sent one final text to the family group chat. "I don't want to hear from anyone else unless it's to apologize or schedule counseling. Brianna is blocked. If anyone defends her actions again, you're not invited to our wedding. Full stop." Silence then, from my aunt, the one who always stayed quiet. I'm sorry, Abby. I had no idea it was this bad. I'm proud of you. From Nolan's mom. You have a new family now. We've got you. And from my older cousin, Claire. I used to think you were just too serious. I was wrong. You're just finally being heard. If there was ever a moment I truly understood what grief feels like without anyone dying, it was sitting on my couch, phone in hand, staring at my blocked contact list. My mother, my father, my grandmother, Brianna, gone, digitally at least, erased like moldy wallpaper peeling off my life, but the rot underneath still lingered. It had been almost a month since I sent that final message, the ultimatum, and the silence from them wasn't peace, it was pressure, because what followed wasn't acceptance, it was blame. Lots of it. The first came from an unknown number, a voicemail. It was my dad. He hadn't called in years, not when I moved in with Nolan, not when I got promoted at work. But now? Abby, I don't even know what to say anymore. Your sister's not doing well. She's depressed. Her relationship's on the rocks. You need to understand this wedding mess, it really affected her. Maybe you could have handled it with more grace. More grace, as if being stalked, harassed, lied about, and having my mailbox destroyed wasn't enough to justify boundaries. As if somehow her actions were my burden to fix. I blocked the number. Then came a letter from my grandmother. Mailed, handwritten. I'm old, Abigail. I don't understand your generation and all your rules, but I know family means forgiveness. Your mother is heartbroken. Brianna is falling apart. Do you really want to get married like this? Alone? That word, alone, like it was supposed to scare me back into submission. But I wasn't alone. Nolan's family stepped up in a way I never expected. His mother, Grace, started calling me sweetheart in every sentence. His dad gave me a pep talk the night before my bridal shower that ended with, "You're already part of this family, wedding or not." My best friend Sienna flew in early to help with last-minute planning and slept on our couch for 2 weeks just to keep me company. We invited only the people who truly saw us, people who'd picked up the phone to ask how we were, not what we were doing to Brianna. The final guest list was leaner, quieter, and filled with so much more love than I'd ever imagined. The only wild card left was Brianna. We hadn't heard from her since the police report. I'd like to say I believed she'd moved on, but the truth? I was holding my breath every day. Then came the wedding day. It was perfect. We married in the garden of a converted greenhouse with sunlight bleeding through the vines and twinkling glass panes. I wore a dress with flutter sleeves and pearl buttons down the back. Nolan cried when he saw me, like full body, shoulders shaking kind of crying. We said our vows, we laughed. I finally exhaled, and then, right as the DJ called us out for our first dance, I saw Brianna, hair disheveled, mascara streaked. Belly was noticeable under a tight dress that wasn't weather appropriate. She was standing just past the gate of the venue's side entrance, arms crossed, fury in her eyes. I froze. Nolan noticed first. Then our wedding coordinator, bless her soul, turned to alert security. 2 staff members approached Brianna calmly. I watched, heart in my throat, as they spoke to her. She yelled something. I couldn't hear it over the music, and then shoved one of them hard. The music cut. For a second, everything stopped. Then guests started whispering. Phones came out. I didn't move. It felt like all the air had been sucked out of the glass garden. Then Nolan reached for my hand. "She doesn't get to ruin this." Brianna was escorted out. She thrashed, screamed, called me names I won't repeat. At one point, she lunged at one of the catering tables and sent an entire tier of cupcakes flying. Security handled it. The venue locked the gates. The DJ made an announcement about a minor disruption. And then, just like that, the music started again. Nolan looked at me. "Dance with me anyway." So we did. Right there, surrounded by people who loved us, not perfectly, but honestly, we danced. My hands trembled for the first minute. Then I leaned into him, closed my eyes, and let the noise fade. Later that night, Grace wrapped me in a hug and whispered, "I hope you know you did the right thing. You didn't lose a family. You found one." I cried for the first time that day, not because I was sad, but because I finally believed it. We filed for a restraining order 2 days later. The venue sent us security footage. So did 2 of our guests. Brianna had no case to defend herself, and the court agreed. She was a threat. The temporary order was granted immediately. My mom left me a final voicemail after that. One last attempt to guilt me. "I don't know who you've become, Abby, but this is cruel. I hope one day you can live with yourself." I deleted it. Not because I didn't feel anything, but because I finally knew I wasn't the cruel one. Our honeymoon wasn't fancy. We drove upstate, stayed in a cozy cabin, and spent most of it making pancakes, drinking too much coffee, and rereading our vows to each other like goofs. I laughed more in those 5 days than I had in the last 5 years, because letting go of the people who refused to love me wasn't the loss I thought it'd be. It was freedom, and I was just beginning to learn how to use it. There's a silence that comes after chaos. Not the scary kind, like something's waiting to pounce, but the kind that feels earned, sacred. That's what our new apartment felt like the first morning we woke up in it. We'd moved to a quiet college town 2 states away. Nolan got a job at the university, and I found a position in the administration office. Our place had creaky hardwood floors, ivy climbing the brick outside, and an old clawfoot tub I immediately fell in love with. There were no notes on the door, no texts from my mother, no online tirades from Brianna, just the sound of the kettle hissing, Nolan humming some off-key tune while making breakfast, and sunlight pouring through linen curtains. It wasn't just a new address, it was a new life. We took things slow. After everything, we needed slow. We went on walks after dinner, talked about paint colors for the spare room, got to know the old couple next door who brought us homemade jam and asked zero-invasive questions. I still had moments where I'd check my phone out of habit, half expecting some drama grenade waiting to blow up my peace. But there was nothing. My inbox was quiet. My heart, for the first time in years, was steady. One morning, 3 months after the wedding, I woke up with a weird craving for grape jelly on crackers. I didn't even like grape jelly. I also cried, full-on sobbing, over a commercial for dish soap. Nolan raised an eyebrow. "Want me to grab a test?" I laughed through tears. "You really think it could be?" He just smiled and kissed my forehead. "Let's find out." The line turned pink almost immediately. I sat on the bathroom floor, hands over my mouth, knees pulled to my chest. Nolan crouched beside me, silent for a moment before he whispered, "We're going to be parents." That night, we laid on the couch with our hands pressed over my stomach, even though there was nothing to feel yet. I thought about the baby, about what kind of mother I wanted to be, what kind of home we'd build, and I thought about Brianna, how she would twist this, how she'd accuse me of copying her, stealing the spotlight, making everything about me again. But then the thought passed, like a storm cloud too far to touch us now, because she didn't get to live here, in this life we'd built, in this joy we'd protected. Word got back to my parents eventually. I didn't tell them. Someone else must have. One day, Nolan came home from work holding an envelope with my maiden name scribbled across it. No return address. Inside was a card. No words. Just a baby bib folded inside that read, "Family is forever." I tossed it in the trash, not out of spite, but because I finally understood. Love without accountability isn't love. It's control, and I wanted nothing to do with it. From what little I heard, through old friends or mutuals I hadn't yet unfollowed, Brianna had spiraled. Her fiancé, yes, they got engaged briefly after she announced the pregnancy, left before the baby was even born. She was living back with our parents. No job, no real support system beyond the people who'd always enabled her. My mother was now raising a baby that wasn't hers, and my dad, who once told me to have more grace, was reportedly working overtime just to keep the lights on. Sometimes I'd see a filtered photo pop up online. Brianna smiling with the baby, captioned with some passive-aggressive quote like, "People come and go, but real ones stay," or, "Not everyone deserves access to your world." And I'd almost laugh, not in a cruel way, just with this strange clarity, because that used to be me, tiptoeing, silencing myself, trying to earn a love that was always conditional, but not anymore. One evening, sitting on the porch with my hand resting over my growing belly, Nolan asked, "Do you ever think you'll reach out?" I thought about it, then shook my head. "Not unless they become different people." "Do you think that'll ever happen?" I looked out at the pink and gold horizon, the cicadas humming softly. But I'm okay with that." Our baby came in the spring, a girl. We named her Ivy. And when I held her in my arms, this tiny, perfect storm of possibility, I made a promise that she'd never have to earn my love, that her voice would never be too much or not enough, that she'd grow up knowing her worth wasn't tied to someone else's comfort. I didn't know if I'd be a perfect mom, but I knew I'd be better. And for the first time, that didn't feel selfish. It felt like the start of something beautiful. If you made it this far, thanks for riding with me. If you love real, messy, emotional stories like this, Go ahead and hit subscribe. There's always another confession waiting in the backseat.